unless I'm meant to push this in after filling it up, which doesn't make sense to me. So we'll figure out how that works today as well. That's our intended resin mold. That's our old resin mold. Okay. I think we are good to start. Billy, thank you for joining us. We just need to get out our mica powder. Oh, we are losing dice sets left and right. Hold on. With how we have everything set up, it's kind of difficult trying to find space for everything. Yeah, we just gotta get out our mica powder. What I'm gonna do is, where did I see that one? That one goes back in here. We are gonna keep that up because that stays out for this. And I believe it was this. Yes. And was it you or was it? Yeah, it was you. Okay. Let me double check. Yeah. Yeah, it was that. Okay. Brody, thank you for joining us. We're just getting ready to make some dice. So, we need 2 things of resin for this. Now, good news is we got 3 cups. Even better news, we don't have to sit here and waste the resin. Because I know I need about 225 millimeters to make a whole set with dice and with the resin. So what we're going to do, or with the dice box. So what we're going to do is we're just going to fill that up by 2. So that'd be what, 125? Yeah. So we're going to fill 125 up fully for both of these. And then we're going to pour them into the molds. But we have to make sure that we make that 125 half of this. So that would be 65. So we got to go there, and then we got to go there. And I'm going to do something a little bit different than we did on our previous pours. I'm actually going to use a split level cup to do my mixing of colors. Okay, let me see here. Should be good. Oh, sorry about that, everyone. Almost dropped you. Oh, knocked you over, and I should say. Well, while we're doing it, let's pour this mold as well. Because like I said, we have to do this twice because we got 2 different colors. Ooh, you're coming out fast. I don't like how fast that came out. Okay, so now we gotta get our hardener out. And what's strange is that should have... that water cooled down quick. That's why. We were giving them a bath. In theory, what it should have done is cooled down or heated up the resin in the hardener to where there's very little bubbles. We did get quite a few, but we have ways to still eliminate those bubbles. I had to quickly pull that one up. That one came out super fast. Now this set's going to be for our very own Turn to Dust. So if he is not here, I do apologize. I'm making it already. But we do got to get going and started on these pours. We got a lot of pours we want to get through. A lot of testing, a lot of sampling. Now, when you're mixing resin, you want to go super slow. Now, you'll see it's cloudy now. This should, if mixed properly, go clear in about 5 minutes. How's everyone's weekend? April, thank you for joining us. We're making some dice right now. Right now we're just mixing our resin. Diamond, thank you for joining us. Now, for those of you joining in, it's your first time, what I typically do is I'll look over at our left side here, and we have our YouTube going as well. So if you're not following us over there, definitely go give us a follow. But we have a lot we're going to get to today. Sato, thank you for joining us. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour it into this half of this silicone mold right here. Koopy Pie, thank you for joining us. I'm just going to dry the sides real quick. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this one up, because this one still has to be mixed. Same thing. But I'm also going to grab our spoon we use for our mica powder. I'm going to add it to that. We're going to add 2. This is our watermelon set that can be found on our website. I probably should have mixed that in the actual, yeah, oh well. We're experimenting. Sometimes experiments are good. Sometimes experiments don't work out how you want them to. This one was one of those that, it didn't really work out how we wanted it to, but we can make it get there. Okay, so let's continue mixing this. Sarah, thank you for joining us. That boy QC, thank you for joining us. Pink Panther Jelly, thank you for joining. We're making some dice today. That's good. Okay, so let me add the red mica powder now. Hopefully we can get this to work because it's already starting to kind of mix up top. We might have a little bit of an overflow. Yeah, we're getting an overflow, but we can make this work. So now I know next time that when we're doing this, we're going to have to mix the mica powder before we pour it in because it does tend to mix over. Which is fine because we're going to be doing a dirty pour anyway. But we want to make sure that any that's clear is properly mixed. And that's what we're running into the issue with on this. Okay. So let's pull this out. Leo, thank you for joining us. Okay. So first and foremost, I'm going to check the mold for any instances of excess resin on any face, any bit of the mold itself. And I'm even going to flip them inside out to make sure. Nope, that did not work. That's not what we wanted. We wanted something more along the lines of oof. Strange. Even though we know we mixed it properly, there was not enough resin for both when we use this cup. That's peculiar. So on the next set, we know we're not going to be able to use that cup. But what I might do, I might just pour. Listen, we're going to have to let this. Oh. We're going to have to let it do its thing. And we're going to have to pop these out. Because this did not do what we needed it to do with this cup. Sadly, so that's not going to be operational. I got to go wash my hands real quick because I forgot to put my gloves on. Hands are all sticky. So now we gotta wait 24 hours for this failure to finish. And this was a failure. I will admit to that. That was a complete failure. I know now that when I'm using this, I can't mix the colors inside. As well as we ran into a lot of weird, strange patterns that were happening. Like, for instance, we lost like a lot of resin in that. But because we lost the resin in that, and the resin is still good, I can see about pouring it into these molds. Hyperion, Donovan, thanks for joining us. So this isn't going to make a full set, but it will make the majority of a full set, which is good, because we can at least test this dice mold out. And I think we're going to add a drop or two of forest green in there from our alcohol liquid. Oh, we got to cut these. Okay. Bear with me while I go grab a pair of scissors. I'm trying to figure out why that wasn't actually working. Brenda, thank you for joining us. I'll be right back here in 1 second.
My cup? Yeah. No, I poured that in.
No, babe, you didn't understand what you said. I cut the tip off this and I can't find it. I don't know if it's up in your cup.
Okay, I'll do it.
I dumped it already. Cindy, thank you for joining us. So now we just are going to add a couple of drops of this alcohol ink. To our resin. Now you really want to do this before you add it to the mold. But what we're also going to do is we're going to see if we can get a good Petri going. Well, I gotta go back out there for more scissors. Now let's just put the mold. Let's just put the mold lid on. I'll go back out there here in a second and grab some more scissors. So you know we're gonna need those. Oop, I need to push that over here. So like I said, this mold that we just put in, that's not going to be a full test. It's more of a test because our first pour of the day since we got the new ones failed. We got to figure out what happened there. The second pour was more of the leftover resin that was in the cups. And why is there still leftover resin in this? Let me see if I can pour that in there. Here, hang on. I'm going to just take this and I'm going to start scraping it out. Okay. How about you? You got any more resin in you? Maybe a little bit. Yeah, you got a little bit in you. Okay, so let's put this lid back on and see what happens with that. So this one we do have a failure. This one we have to wait and see if it's a failure. But what I'm going to do is I have to weigh it down. So I have to weigh it down with another dice mold that we've made. So with me being off on the measurement of the dice box and the mold, I'm thinking that the dice box is the 300, so that's going to be an even easier pour. It's just we have to wait for that to finish curing and get completed. That's going to be taking another 4 hours, or not 4 hours, 24 hours. My apologies. But I also wanted to test out this mold. Now, what I like about this mold is that it has three different D4s, but it also has all the other dice that are more commonly found in tabletop RPG games as well. So we are going to use that along with some alcohol, and we are going to hopefully try to make a petri dish out of them. For those of you that don't know what petri is when you take dice or you take a mold and you add you can do it before the pour, you can do it after the pour. It's easier to do it after the pour from what I'm understanding. You just take the pour, and we're going to do 100 should do it. I don't see us needing 300 milliliters of resin and hardener for this. So we're doing a couple tests on our new molds that we bought. The first test was a complete and utter failure. We can't figure out why that happened. Second test is more so to see how the bullet dice look. And this third test is to test out one of our new molds that we were really excited to get. No, it's dice making. It's not painting, Watsy. It's a failure. Yeah, this was an ultimate failure. I should have used pipettes instead of pouring from there. I don't know why I didn't. But yeah, this one was a failure. There's no doubt. There's nothing that can change that. Essentially, what ended up happening was the it's a failure because I didn't make enough resin. And it's strange because I've made this time and time again, so I know the recipe. I know how much I need to make. But it just was not enough this time. I don't know why. So this one was a failure. We are just going to work on the next project and move on. Because we got 2 things we want to try. 2 more things. I gotta get out my other resin as well for that. I mean, as long as you stay here, it's gonna be a good live. I mean, you're the only one here. Now, with dice making, there is such thing as failures. You can end up with warps. You can end up with bits of your dice actually not forming properly. If you don't mix enough resin, you will end up with what's called a catastrophic failure, which can't even be fixed, which is what we ran into. We literally just have to wait for it to cure and then move on. Try again. But I think we're going to do that the same way we've usually do all of our dice from the past. Ugh. What's funny is I said that, oh crap, I didn't use my gloves, and I still didn't use my gloves. Okay, so that should stay there. I can finish mixing this. That's the kind of consistency I needed. I don't know why the water didn't give me that. It's weird. I'm going to be right back real quick. I just got to grab scissors again. I'm just going to keep them in here this time. Okay. Hey then, Cursing Lemur, thank you all for joining us. What we're doing is we are just getting some UV. No, we've done too much green and red. Let's get a different color. I want to see this. Forest green and aqua sounds like it would be a great mix. Okay, so that might have been a little too much. see. That would be why, because we are supposed to shake these before use. That's why it's not going all the way down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open up a pipette. We need to start using our pipettes that we bought anyway, because I think that's going to help with controlling the resin as well. That's taking way too long, and we got just a little bit of time for this to cure. So we are going to do this the old school way. Accidental, thank you for joining us. Okay, where did I put the lid now? There's the lid. So pretty much what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put a little bit on the lid. And I'm going to take what we used to stir it. I'm just going to spread that out across the entire lid. Like so. We actually made more than we needed, so we're just going to just kind of fill in the gaps here with this. And pour a little bit more on top here. Pour a little bit more on top here. And we're going to let that settle. Now we're going to put the lid on. I'm going to move this because we might need that for the next project. And now we're going to take another mold or another box that we made. I'm going to weigh that down. We actually need two to weigh this one down, it looks like. The reason we're weighing them down is solely so that we can compress that top layer to the bottom layer without having any sort of defects. Now let's go into our box of molds. We're going to pull out this mold. It's one of our old molds. But I want to do something that I really have never done before. And that's inserts. So I'm debating on if I want to do these inserts. Where are my rings? These inserts. That's a little concerning. I had a whole mini set of Lego pieces that I could use for dice making. Oh, there they are. Or this one. Eduardo, thank you for joining us. So what we're doing is we're deciding on what inserts we want to use. I'm leaning towards the sugar skulls just because I want to see how these work and look within what we have planned for them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a little hole in this. And before I do that, let me check something here real quick. It's going dark. If I charge that. No, they don't glow. Okay. So, first and foremost, we gotta mix our resin. Now, we learned from the last set that 100 was too much, so we're only going to do 50 this next set. Or, do we want to do 50 or do we want to do 75? Let's do 50. Okay. So we're going to take you out. We can use you later. Now what I'm also doing that you'll see is like if there's any excess resin in a cup, I'm just putting, I can actually use this cup too, because this one's had resin in it. What I'm doing is I'm pretty much just putting a spoon in there to kind of balance it out. Okay. Slappy, thank you for joining us. Okay, so I need 25. For my part A. Uncertain, thank you for joining us. Cursing Lemur, thank you for joining. Okay, so now I need a mixing stick. We got plenty of them over here. In fact, I can move this since that's only on the outside over here to make room for this mold to go right there. Stephanie Delgado, thank you for joining us. And hey, how are you? I'm sorry, I just saw your message. Koala, thank you for joining us. So sadly, our first set was a complete failure. We're gonna fix that for tomorrow for sure when we go live, or even later tonight if we can use it later tonight. Essentially, what happened with it was the mold itself. We poured it differently than what we usually do. So when we poured it differently, it didn't do what we wanted to. We should have mixed it. We should have poured it less than what we did and mixed the resin first with the colorant. But we didn't. And that's where things started to get a little wonky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these. And we're going to use some of our glow-in-the-dark pigment. We're going to make them look really cool. So let me see which one's glow-in-the-dark again. Where's my UV light go? Okay. So green. Was it pink? Orange. The blue doesn't glow, which is sad. I was hoping that blue would really pop. But we got a really good green we can do with it. So essentially what we're going to do is we're just going to mix this up. We're going to let it sit for a little bit. Sticky hands. I hate sticky hands. I know it happens when we mess with the resin, but I hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it. I'm just going to hit it. Get some heat going. Okay, and now we're going to take a pipette. We can't use that same pipette since this is clear resin that we're going to put in first. We're just going to take some of this resin. We're going to put a little bit in each part of the mold. To make a little bit of a window. And ideas like this, I wish I had a pressure pot, because that would make it look even better. But right now, this is what we got. The good news is we got like 300 of these skulls that we can work with. Now, if anyone knows off the top of their head when the Day of the Dead is, please let me know, because that's the whole reason we bought these, was because they reminded me of sugar skulls, and I thought that would be a really cool idea for our Hispanic supporters that do celebrate Day of the Dead to have a set of dice commemorating it, especially if you have a family member or a friend that was in a D&D that did pass away recently. That's a big reason why we are making this exact set. Blayton, thank you for joining us. Tori, thank you for joining us. I love when my little cousins come in and watch me do what I do best. Right now we're doing some dice making. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to take each of these green skulls. I'm just going to... Now, do I want the green or do I want the yellow? Because I just saw that there's a yellow in there as well. Let me grab my light and double check. The green. The yellow looks almost identical to the green, so we're just going to do the green. Yeah, we're just going to do the green. We're just going to drop them in face down into that little window that we made. Oop. Now, some of them we do got to move around to fit within the windows. What is everybody's plans this weekend? As for me, you are looking at them. We're just making some dice all weekend long. Here in a few hours, I'm going to be cooking me and the family some tacos. TJ Howe, thank you for joining us. We are working on a new little test subject for our dice. Day of the Dead, glow-in-the-dark dice. Now for that, I need green. Do I have a different green? I got yellow green. I got the blue green, sky blue. But yeah, I mean, this is the dice we're making right now. It's going to be Day of the Dead themed. We use a clear stick. Here it is. Duck Around, thank you for joining us. put that right there. So one place I don't want that going because that's not silicone. That's actually going to stick up and get all messy. So the fun thing with this stuff is I'm going to be able to charge these dice. What I mean by charge these dice is that these are going to be UV resin charged. Once I'm done here, so that we can use them for different dice. And when I say that we're going to UV charge them, what I specifically mean is the
Daddy, what are you doing?
I'm making dice. Yep, I'm working. You gotta go. You know you can't be on when Daddy's working. Nope, out. Hang on, everyone. There we go. The missus got him. TikTok rules, they can't be on the lives. So, gotta make sure that we're following TikTok terms and procedures. Of course, he had to open up my closet. But we made several sets. Our first set was a failure. I know it. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, boo-hoo, my set was a failure. I knew immediately that was going to fail. In fact, this one right here, I can see a failure that will form on two separate faces. And I can't figure out why that's doing that. It's like there's not enough resin in there. But we found out that 100 was too much. So let me try to scoop up some of that and put it back in. See if that helps a little. Oh, we still got plenty. Hang on. Okay, so we're trying to prevent as little failures as possible from happening. So what I'm doing is I'm just lifting this up, and even if it's a mixture that shouldn't be there, since these are tests, I'm fine with the mixtures mixing. It's more so if these were like a live set, I don't want them to actually blend together. More than likely what happened was because of the fact that we didn't overload the top like we typically do. It caused bubbles and shorts when we put the weights on top. That can happen from time to time. Now we just wait for these to cure. It'll take about 24 hours, give or take. But yeah, I mean, that's really it. We got 4 sets. I forgot about one of our test subjects. In there, waiting to go. I wanted to make this a longer live, but the simple fact is if we keep going, we're going to run out of resin quick. And we've already ran out of cups. I don't want to make trips to the bathroom and whatnot to clean them, so we're going to wait till everything is good to go. clean up everything, and then we will redo tomorrow our set for Turn to Dust. With that being said and done, thank you for joining our live. Don't forget to check out our website. Any of our dice that you've seen here that we're making are going to be up on our website, as well as our already finished dice. In fact, while I'm doing that, I'm going to test something real quick. While I'm waiting on all this to do what it needs to do. Oh, come on. Oh, this is that might be perfect. Okay, so it does take 2 for the top lid. For the bottom, 2 as well. Okay, so 4 magnets per hole, so that's 12 magnets is what it takes for me to magnetize it. Good to know. Ugh. But now I know the exact size and measurement I need for the magnets, which is even better. Because I can minimize that, everything like that. But with that being said, then we are going to call it a night here. Man, I just wish the set would have. In fact, hang on. I'm gonna do something I don't usually do. I'm gonna try to fill some of this up with this. We're in what's called the honey stage on this set. That's a fun stage because everything's like somewhat cured, but not really cured. And yeah, that failed. That doesn't look anything like the original subject that's supposed to be. Yeah, we're gonna call that one a failure. But with that being said and done, we are gonna call it a night, and I will see you all tomorrow around noon so that we can demold all this stuff and get it going. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.